Hey guys, how you going? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use regular expressions in JavaScript. So basically, I'm not going to be covering absolutely everything when it comes to regular expressions in JavaScript, but I'm going to be covering what I think is going to cover most use cases or scenarios. So basically, I'm not going to be covering globals, but everything else I should be covering perfectly fine. But for those of you who don't know what regular expressions are or what they're used for, basically a regular expression is a pattern used to search through text. So essentially, you can use it for, or the main use cases might be to validate user input or extract or parse information from text. Okay, so I do recommend, if you don't actually, or if you're not too aware or familiar with regular expressions, I recommend you actually do a bit of learning on the topic before watching this video. But I also recommend that you take a look at this website right here. It's called regexr.com. It's a very popular website. I'm sure you may have heard of it. And basically, you can go inside here. It's like a little sandbox, and you can practice your regular expressions. And it's got a lot of useful tools, such as the cheat sheet right here. It tells you exactly what everything does, and even this regular expression reference for a bit more detail. So definitely check out this website if you're starting out with regular expressions. So anyway, let's go back to the topic of this video, and that is JavaScript. So, or at least regular expressions in JavaScript. So let's go inside the text editor right here. We can start off by going down inside the JavaScript section and defining a regular expression. So to define a regular expression in JavaScript, you simply do it like this. You say let, then you can call your variable, typically called RE, short for regular expression, is equal to, and then you're going to use this syntax right here, basically 2 forward slashes. Inside here, you define your pattern. So, for example, if I want to match 3 alphanumeric characters, I can do this. I can say \w, then curly brace 3, and curly brace. So, this is basically saying I want to match 3 of any alphanumeric character. So I'm not going to go into detail and cover absolutely every single different class or different match in regular expressions in general, but you can use the regular expression website right here to, of course, take a look at all the different things you can match on. But here we can see that \w means it matches any word character, alphanumeric, and underscore. Okay, so back inside here, we now have the regular expression defined in JavaScript. So now, basically, this one right here, this RE, is a regular expression object. So, I'm going to first take a look at the test method on the regular expression object. So, for example, if I was to say console.log and then say re.test, I can pass in here a string. So if I was to pass in DOM, this right here means we're testing this particular pattern on this string, and it's going to return true or false if there was a match found. Okay, so I'm going to save this and refresh the browser. In the console, we get here true, of course, because DOM is 3 alphanumeric characters. If I was to make this DOM, save this and refresh, we still get true because we have here, same thing, 1, 2, 3 alphanumeric characters. If I was to make this do, save and refresh, of course now we're going to get false. So that's essentially the test method right there. It is used to test true or false depending on there is at least one match for your regular expression pattern. Okay? Alright. Let's move on now to the search method. So I'm going to console.log here. I'm going to first define a string. So I can say here, for example, once again, I'm going to use DOM as the example. So DOM and then .search. I'm going to pass in here the regular expression. So this time it's sort of going the other way around. We're first defining the string, then we're searching for the regular expression. So now this search method is going to give us the index of the first match. So right here, of course, we have D index 0, then we have O index 1 and M index 2. So we expect 0 to be returned from this search method. Let's save this and refresh, and we get 0 right there. So it's working just fine. If I was to change this string and make it something like, hi, my name is Dom, now we're going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. up to whatever this index is. Actually, you know what? I was wrong. It's going to be this one right here. So, of course, NAM, this one here, is the first match for 3 alphanumeric characters. So we should get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the output. So I'm going to save this and refresh once again, and now we get 6 right there. Okay, and that is the search method. And both of these methods right here, and most of the video is going to be about searching or testing whether or not a string, or sorry, you can find a regular expression pattern within a string. It's going to be all about searching and potentially, in your use case, validating your user input. If you want to make sure your user inputs 3 alphanumeric characters, then you can do it using regular expressions, for example. So this is all about searching. So that is the test and search method. I now want to talk about the execute method, or the exec method. So I can go down here and say console.log. I'm going to log out the return value of re.x. Sorry, exec. I don't know how to say that, but exec. Oh, sorry, c. So here you can pass in a string. So we can say, for example, hi Dom. So here, once again, very similar to the test method, we're starting with the regular expression object, then we are saying execute it on this string right here. So I'm going to save this and refresh, and we're going to get an array of results. So essentially, the test method from earlier was a bit more basic, a bit simple, simply returning true or false depending on if there was a match. But the exec method is going to return an array with a bit more details on the actual match. So, for example here, let's start by looking at the 0 index in the array. So we have here Dom. So essentially, the 0 index is going to be the entire match, or what the match found. So essentially, of course, the pattern was 3 alphanumeric characters, so it is being matched on this string, and we get here, of course, the actual value from the match, Dom. Okay, we then have the index, that is our index 3, because the input 0, 1, 2, and 3 for the letter D. So that is your index right there. So that's basically what the exec method's going to do. It's going to return you an array with a bit more detail on the actual match. In a future video, I'm going to cover globals, and in the when it comes to doing global regular expressions, this method's going to return you the same results, but it's going to be a bit different in the way it works. So that's why I want to leave globals for a different video. But for simple regular expressions, and in most cases, you're going to be using the exec method just like this. Okay. So now I want to show you a bit more of an advanced example here. So let's go down here, and we are going to essentially we're going to try and match a particular string, and then we're going to try and extract some information from that string. So let's go down here, write a comment, and we're going to say this. We're going to say possible matches. And here I'm gonna write out 2 strings in which we want to match on using a regular expression. So I'm gonna say here, hello Dom, you have 5 tasks remaining. So imagine this might be a website or some sort of data coming in to your application, which says it basically greets a person and tells them how many tasks they have remaining in some sort of application or whatever. So that's basically the use case right there. Let's define a second possible match. We can say greetings Johnny, and we can say you have 1 task remaining. So a very similar scenario, but of course they're slightly different. So we're going to be defining or writing out a regular expression pattern which should match both of these particular examples. And then we're going to be using capture groups to essentially extract their name, the actual greeting, and the number of tasks remaining. So that's where it comes in, where you have the extracting information from the text. Obviously very useful for parsing and sort of I guess doing things with some sort of data set or some sort of arbitrary information. So let's go down here now, and you know what, let's actually go back up here, and simply inside here, I'll copy this down actually. Alright, so here we can write out the regular expression to match both of these strings. So it's going to look like this. We're going to use firstly the caret symbol. This basically means match the beginning of a string, and then a $ match the end of a string. So basically this means go here and this means go here. Okay, so once again, I'm not going to cover all of the particular things you can use in regular expressions. That is what the Regex.com website is for. So anyway, let's go back inside here. So we're matching the beginning and the end of the string. Inside here, we can first specify and try and look for the initial greeting. So we can say here a \w looking for alphanumeric character. Then we're going to say plus. Plus means we want to match at least one or more of the preceding token. So basically one or more characters or letters. Then we're going to use a comma like this. So we're saying one or more letters, then a comma. So here we go, one or more letters and a comma. So one or more letters and a comma. Then we're going to use a space, so space, and then once again one or more letters, then a full stop. So in regular expressions, this period character means to match anything. So if we want to actually try and find an actual full stop, we've got to escape it using a \. Okay, or else this will mean a completely different thing. So use the \ right there for an for a period. Then we can say space. So far we've covered the initial greeting, a comma, and the name, and then a full stop. So now we can go space. We can say you have, and then here we can use \d+. This means to match one or more digits. So of course here 5 for example. Then we can say space tasks remaining. All right. Then we can once again use the \ and then period to match the full stop at the end of the sentence. Okay, so that is the pattern which should match against both of these particular strings. So I'll go down here, I can say console.log. I can once again use the re.test method. For example, I can say re.test. We can pass in here the first string, so hello Dom, you have 5 tasks remaining. And do the same thing for the second one. Put it inside here. I can save this and refresh, and we can see we get true and false. I wonder why the second one did not work. Let's find out. Let's see here. Did I spell this correctly? Of course. So here I forgot to put an option on this S. So I can say here question mark. This question mark means that the character or the token before it is optional. So you can either have a S or no S. In this case, we have task with no S, so it's going to match. So I'm going to save this now and refresh one more time, and now we get true and true. All right. So that's working just fine. So now, what if you want to extract information from these two strings? Well, we can do it using capture groups. So we can say here using an opening parentheses and then a closing parentheses around this. We're basically saying with these parentheses, we want to capture the information between the parentheses. So here we want to capture the word, or in this case, hello or greetings. Okay, we can do the same thing for the name, like this, and the same thing for the number of tasks remaining. remember to just ensure that your parentheses are around the also I think they're called quantifiers. So make sure it's around your pluses and your dots or whatever you're using. That way you actually grab all of the text. So if I was to say, for example, something like this, I think this might even not work. So I'm going to save this and try it, refresh, and no, it did work. But just make sure that you're covering your whole token and the quantifier with your parentheses. So now we have specified our 3 capture groups like this. We can access them using the exec method. So I'm going to change these tests and make them execs. Now we can see the result. It's going to look a bit different to the earlier example. So I'm going to save this and refresh here, and we get here the first one. The input was, of course, hello Dom, you have 5 tasks remaining. What we got was at index 0, we get the entire matched text. The reason why we get the entire string in this case is because we're using the caret and the $sign to match the beginning and the end of the string. So in this case, we of course have the same input as it is the first initial whole match. Then here, this is where the capture groups come in. So at index 1, we've extracted hello by itself. Same goes for index 2 and 3. So we get hello, the greeting, we get Dom, the name, and 5, the amount of tasks remaining. So basically, we get here at index 1, at index 2, and at index 3. So very useful right there for parsing and extracting information from text. And this is just how it works in JavaScript. I just want to go back to the topic of the beginning and the end of the string. So I'm going to go back inside here and get rid of these carets and the $sign. And then I'm going to make this string something like this. I'm just going to say something like microphone in front of the string right there. I'm going to save this and refresh. And now we still get the match, okay? But now we can see the input was microphone, hello, etc. The matched text, or all of it, was this right here. So it stays the same because, of course, we only matched 11 characters in at index 11, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 11. Okay, so that's that. So I'll make it back to the caret symbol and the $sign. Cool. Now I want to force a failure, so I'm going to remove the full stop at the end of this string. Of course, this regular expression pattern requires the full stop right there at the end of the string. So I'm going to save this and refresh, and now we get null as the return value of the exec method. Okay, so of course, if you want to test and make sure that you actually get a match before you start using the results as part of your exec method, just check if the return value is null. So basically, if re.x equals null, then you didn't get a match. Okay, cool. One more thing I forgot to mention earlier was that the search method actually returns -1 if nothing has been found. So if I was to say dom.search, we're going to search for this time, we're going to do 4 characters. This time we get -1 because we didn't find 4 alphanumeric characters in this string. Of course, now if I was to make this dome, we get 0. Okay, so that is that one right there with the -1. And let's move on now to the second return value here. Got a bit sidetracked there, but the second return value. Let's save this and refresh. For the greetings Johnny, we got here. We got, of course, the same similar thing. We get the entire match string at index 1. We get greetings and then Johnny and then 1 once again, which matches up with our capture groups. Capture group 1 for the greeting, the name, and the number of tasks remaining. So we can see here we used the same regular expression and the inputs were different, but of course we get the same output structure. And that is how we can, of course, extract text and make it very useful for when we don't actually know what the text is going to be like when it comes through. But if we know the structure we can of course extract the values, and that is the power of regular expressions. And the last thing for this video is going to be the match method. So the match method works very similar to the exec method. So if I was to say, basically swap this around, I'm going to just copy and paste the first one here, and I'm going to replace something here. I'm going to say copy all this stuff out, and I'm going to say the string first, and then I'm going to say dot and then match, and then here pass in the regular expression. So this time we're saying string first, then dot match on the regular expression. This is going to return the exact same result as this line up here. I'm going to save this and refresh. We can see we get the same result. So basically in this scenario, the match method is an alternative to using the exec method. And yeah, that is basically the essentials or the basics of regular expressions in JavaScript. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.